What's going on, my good people? Thank you for tuning in. I know a lot of you turned your notifications on because I prompted you about this conversation we're about to have. So I want you to get comfortable, get your glass of wine or whatever you got, share this with a friend, and let's sit down and have a little chat about this viral video, shall we? What's going on, y'all? What day is this? Hump day. Okay, let's do it. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jamie Alexander. And of course, I'm not having this conversation by myself. So let me bring Inyatu Marble to the stage. He is a relationship and dating consultant, and you've seen him. Hi.
Hey.
What's going on?
Happy Winning Wednesday, everybody. How are you, Jamie?
I'm good. I feel like, I've been talking about this on my channel. I feel physically like there is so much going on. It's like everything is good, but I feel like something's happening. It's good. There's a change, there's a shift, but I'm kind of like, all right, breathe, keep your feet on the ground, and let's just do one day at a time.
Embrace it.
Yeah, so I'm doing what I gotta do, but it has been a roller coaster, but not a bad one. Let me check in my comments. Hi, Tawny, welcome back. Okay, guys, so this is my sister, and I'm not gonna talk about her because I'm gonna get emotional, but welcome back, girl. Welcome back, okay? We're gonna have to have a whole conversation about that some other time. So what's going on? How have you been?
I've been fantastic. It has definitely been Winning Wednesday, and 2023, I'm in momentum, and yeah, I'm pleased. I am pleased.
I like momentum. That is a really good word. I was feeling momentum. I would say that was like my theme back in October.
Okay.
And I'm seeing the results of that now, especially with being consistent with my content. Doing things like reaching out to you, who was at once a stranger, but I'm like, I don't know, this guy's cool. Let me just setting, getting that going. And now it's like, I'm getting more followers and more comments, and people are enjoying the content more. So I love momentum for that.
Nice. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. So y'all know how we do. I will go on Instagram and I'll find a post that makes me be like, what? And then I'll hit Nyatu and be like, let's talk about it. So
talk about it.
Yes, this post is about 2.5 minutes, but I want you guys to get the facts and the information so you can hear it, and then you and I will discuss. You ready?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
There are massive federal programs that were instituted in the late 1970s that pay states trillions of dollars to tear families apart. Like in Texas, we get 66 cents on the dollar put into the Texas Treasury for every dollar of child support that's paid. So the state is now highly incentivized to issue the maximum amount of child support. That's why almost all divorces got 50-50 prior to the 1980s. And there was this skyrocketing of divorces where one parent loses custody. And that was to maximize Title IV-D reimbursements to the states. In Texas, it's $500 million to the Texas budget.
If the state is profiting off of child support?
Correct. And in most states, the Judicial Retirement Fund is funded from this money. So the more child support that's issued from the family courts, the larger the judicial retirement. It's a massive program. It's the size of the largest defense programs. So the incentives are absolutely huge.
To get people to pay child support?
Correct.
Even married people, to get them to break up and then have to pay each other child support?
Absolutely, yeah. So because you would think the best child support would just be 50-50 custody and let people raise their kids. The best child support is to raise your own kid. That's the best child support. But they don't do that. Most states actually have laws prohibiting the courts from doing that. Texas has a family code in which it's assumed to be in the child's best interest that one parent get 24% of the time. And the reason 24% was chosen precisely is it maximizes Title IV-D reimbursement to the state at 24%. Okay.
How does it? Wow. How's the maximization function? How does it come out at 24%?
So it has to do with how the state calculates child support. So Texas has one of the worst child support systems in the state. It doesn't take into account the income of both parents, and it doesn't take into account the amount of time you spend with the child. So there are fathers out there with 49% of the time that are paying maximal child support still.
Wow.
But again, that maximizes the reimbursement to the state. I have a friend of mine, him and his wife came to an agreement to do 50-50 parenting, no child support, because he watches the kids a lot while she travels for her work. And so it all worked out, and they decided it's just better to do it this way. The state of Texas sent an attorney to argue in the case that they should not be allowed to do 50-50 custody.
I read a story about some celebrity guy who had to pay massive child support, and then he and the wife both went to the court together as friends and said, hey, he's no longer working and doesn't have this money anymore, so we both agree it should be lower, and the court said no.
They won't do it.
Because they get a cut.
They get a huge kickback, yeah.
That's intense. That's really, really intense.
Super intense. So do you find this hard to believe?
No, I don't find it hard to believe, but I think it's the magnitude and the audacity that gets me, because I didn't know the statistics. I didn't know the 66 cents on the dollar, the 24% of the time, the not allowing the 50-50. I knew it was some BS, but I didn't know the level of intention.
Right.
And the lengths they're willing to go to make a dollar.
Right.
I'm a little blown away. What were your thoughts when you first saw and heard this? Because I know it's going around now.
Yeah, I saw it maybe a week ago, and it really resonated with me as a person who spent time in family court. And so, I find it to be absolutely true. I don't know what the exact percentage is that Illinois is getting, but it has to be a strong percentage by the way that they behave. Not only did I see it in my case, but it seemed like they would schedule all the dads who are really trying to be in their kids' lives on the same day. So I would just see nonsense all day, every time I went to court. And so, yeah, we went to court. The judge got the child support together the first day. We didn't need no continuances. We didn't need no motions. We need nothing. We're going to get that straight today. The visitation did not get straightened out for 5 years.
Okay.
And so clearly, and even in that, and even in the court assigning a child therapist to my son and a family therapist to the both of us, and that therapist writing a letter to the judge saying what would be the most mentally and emotionally healthy for this child is for him to spend more time with his dad. They still only gave me every other weekend, even though they're the ones who assign the therapist. And so, yeah, this is the reality of the situation.
That is so hard, and I'm so sorry you went through that. I have girlfriends who have unfortunately had to do the whole child support thing, and it's so taxing. I don't even think I'd be able to do it. I mean, the paperwork, they make it confusing, the paperwork, the time, the coming back, the back and forth, the therapist, the needs, I mean, it's asinine. It's a setup. You could just tell by the way the process works. What's really going on? Because why does she got to do all? She's got a lawyer or an attorney. What is happening here?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to downplay the fact that children need support. And,
Yes.
I don't think it's unfair for me to pay child support or anything. I do think it's unfair to not waste any time ordering the child support, but drag on giving me time with my son and my son time with me, because it's even more important for him than it is for me. Drag that on for 5 years. They could care less. There's continuous 6 months, continuous 6 months. But anything with money, today.
Because we have these quotas to make, and our retirement fund needs a certain amount for the people that are retiring this year. So it's that really pisses me off. Why is this even legal? Why?
Well, it's funny because a lot of times, people will accuse the government of deliberately, separating families and things of that nature. And I think a lot of people don't believe it, or they think it's antiquated, that was back in the beginning of welfare days, and that it doesn't exist anymore or shouldn't be a problem anymore. But it's really systematic and it's much deeper than that. And just for context, I want to say that at a point, my son came to live with me, and I still continued to pay the full child support while he was living with me, just because things were going good and I didn't want them to stop. I was able to, I was able to be with my son, and that's all I cared about. And so if the child support was going to keep the problems down, even though he was living with me and I was paying 100% of his expenses, I still didn't have a problem with it. So it's not, I just want to provide that context that I'm not against child support, but I am against families being broken up. I am against fathers being treated as they're unimportant and as if they're not a parent as well. And so it's so crazy to incentivize the courts and the attorneys to focus on child support just to boost the income of the state.
That's just so hurtful, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be about the child. And this is, this type of setup is what it plays part in creating these dysfunctional kids that become dysfunctional adults. Like, now we need the therapy. We need, how do your kids not need both of your parents? Like, that's just absolutely insane. I agree with you. Child support is important, because there are, unfortunately, guys out there who just, I've seen it, and it's a mess. And sometimes women really have to fight, because like, right now I cannot, like, do you understand how expensive this child is? I can't do it. And
Right.
You don't want to do it willingly. So I understand having something, but to do so to fatten the pockets of people who are already making money and with no priority to the child's mental health and well-being, and just like, it's not a loving thing and a loving system. And that just like, it just breaks my heart. I really hate to see it. And it makes me think like, well, one, I know that marriage and divorce is also pretty much the same business. I don't know how the money is broken up, but it's just like, when I was watching this, maybe it's the rebel in me, but I'm like, this is all the more reason that our love and our capabilities to get along and work together is like an act of rebellion.
Absolutely.
Like let it be. You don't have to fight. You don't have to pick up no weapons. You just need to be equipped to love each other, and like, let that be you ain't getting your money today, bruh. Like, I'm gonna figure this out.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that. I think that's the only way to combat it, is to choose wisely and build healthy relationships. And, there's no guarantee that divorce won't happen, but I think a lot of times people have a better chance if they're married. You don't want, the mother of your children to feel worthy of being the mother of your children, but not being worthy of being your partner. And so that's why I'm not sad, and I'm not in here like, going crazy, because in the end, I had my son on purpose. So I can't blame anybody. God gave me an epiphany that the trajectory of my entire life was not only about being a big brother. It was not only about being a good son. It wasn't all about being a good friend, a good uncle, and all those things. But all that was practice for me to be the best father that I can be. And so I take, full responsibility in that, when for every action there's equal and opposite reaction, and I chose mine, right? So yeah, make better choices. And so I agree with you that this really feeds into what our normal conversation is that we need to build up and solidify, educate, and empower Black love. Love for everybody. I want love for everybody, but specifically Black love, because I find that we are more under attack in these situations than possibly some other cultures.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, I'm not really sure what too many other cultures go through, because I don't really hear this all the time. It's funny, because I had a therapist last year, and I was going through something crazy, and she wasn't a Black woman, and I think she might have even been younger than me. And I could just see, as I'm telling her what's going on in my life, she's looking at me like with popcorn, like, this is what y'all go through. Like, you could just tell she couldn't relate. So
Right.
I don't know what they go through or what it looks like, but this definitely struck out to me as like being a Black thing, me being a Black woman, me dating men with kids and child support, me having homegirls who's dating Black men and trying to get their money or trying to work things out. So I've seen it in our community. And I'm glad that this man shared, and I'm glad we have an opportunity to get a hold of this education, because again, like, I would love it to be us against them. Like, you're getting your money, you're getting your bag, y'all are good, you're sleeping at night, you kissing your kids goodnight.
Right.
While you got this going, and I'm paying for your child's lunch at this point. Like, to me, that alone it just bothers me. I just really feel like we have to figure this thing out and use our love to work against it.
Yeah. What you shared about the therapist was really potent and important too. I had the same experience a couple of years ago. I got a lot out of that therapy, but eventually I had to bring it to an end because he just did not understand Blackness, and not, how could he, right? Jewish, grew up well-to-do, so he'd be like, why are you doing that? And why do you guys feel like you have to do that? And why is that even a thing? And he just did not get it. And as we deep dive into certain aspects of my life, it just became apparent that he wasn't going to be able to help me because he was busy trying to understand himself, because there were so many things that he takes for granted because these things don't even exist, right, in his culture. So he's like, like he's talking to an alien, right? So as
Absolutely.
As opposed to the popcorn, he's like totally confused. Like, why do you guys have to feel like you have to be together? Why do you? It's like, why are you even pushing for this? It's like because we're fighting against the opposite, which has been to divide and conquer us. And if you haven't experienced that, then you won't. And staying together comes natural to your culture. And so it's not a thing, then you're like, well, what are you guys talking about? But no, it's definitely a thing, even if a person's privilege doesn't allow them to see it.
Facts. And that's just crazy in and of itself. It just kind of shows almost like it's almost the setup. And I think I say this every show. I'm glad we're getting to a point where we're talking about these things and these things are on the table, because I know my parents think they've still never done therapy. And to me, they seem emotionally balanced and fine, which is actually mind blowing to me, because I'm like, y'all been through a lot, like,
right.
But they're never up and down. My parents are very emotionally even keeled. They're very positive people. I've never seen them complain or get out of pocket. So maybe they just don't need it, which is amazing. But as a whole, I'm just like, I'm glad we're having these opportunities. And I believe that with this knowledge and education and the internet and all of these things, that we're going to be able to kind of turn things around. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if we'll see it in our lifetime, honestly, because this is like changing DNA at this point. But at least we're here.
And we're planting seeds. And so what I understand about nature,
yes,
if you go around planting rose seeds, and seeds are somewhere where it can get some sunlight and some water, then roses have to grow. And so I'm happy to hear about your consistency. I'm happy to hear that you're seeing results based on your consistency. And so in that same vein, right, we will one way or another start to see results out here in the world. And I think things will continue even after everybody else is gone. I'm a Marvel superhero, so I'll still be here. I'll actually get to see it. I'm never going anywhere. But for all you other mere mortals,
you regulars,
you might only see some of the small indicators of the change that's occurring. But it has to happen. So let's keep planting those seeds, Jamie.
I'm committed. I'm doing the best I can. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give myself that, because it's not easy, but what is, things that are worth really having, it's just not always easy. And I think going through it, and the perseverance and all the character and everything that you get from going through it doesn't feel like it counts for something in the moment, but eventually, right? Like I gotta at least live to see that. So
absolutely.
My sister said, Tawny, at any time, either parent or the child's legal guardian can ask for a change called a modification to increase or decrease the amount of the court-ordered child support, thankfully. But the intention of the state is extremely unsettling. Yeah, you nailed it on the head. I'm all for the modifications, but even that though, I've seen people even have to do that. It's the effort, it's the paperwork, it's the court. The level of stress it's bad. I couldn't do it. I watched my friend do it. I'm like, I can't. I couldn't do it. I'd almost rather do without the money if he's not gone.
Yeah, I literally like lost my hair in that process, and then
I believe it.
And it grew back. Right? It's like unbelievably stressful. And yeah, you know, you can put in a motion for anything, but whether or not the judge is going to actually do it is, you know, entirely another thing. And you know, I thought it was like just weird ingrained racism that the judges were behaving that way, but to find out, because I didn't know until I saw that video, that they are financially incentivized to do it is just insane. It never ceases to amaze me how diabolical some people can be. And so what was the thought process? There can only be one thought process in passing this into law, right? It's just to be a tyrant and to create chaos in the world and profit off of it. And so, you know, we have to be aware that some of the politicians that we elect do not always have our best interests. And again, I'm an adult. Whatever I chose, I can deal with it. But to do that to a child, you know, all states have access to statistics, and statistics show that when children spend less time with either parent, that they are affected and even more likely to feed into the prison system, which has not so coincidentally been profitized as well. And so, you know, you start to put the pieces of the puzzle together and you're like, whoa, that this is, you know, that they have created several streams of income off of endangering and taking advantages away from children. And that is just insane.
It's so bad. Like, it pisses me off because you're right. So we talked about, I don't have the statistics I said, but the marriage and divorce, that's a business. Now we're ripping up the kids, separating that, y'all getting paid for that. And then, yeah, the prison system, y'all getting paid for that. So it's just, I hate that I hate that about this country. I'm grateful for the country and what we have because I know it's, you know, but I hate that this is a thing. I hate that this is allowed. So this is another reason why I really don't feed into politics. I can't, because it to me, it feels like a lose-lose. And I'm not about to invest my energy that I need to function, okay, into arguing or picking, or look at me, arguing or picking or doing these things that I know this thing is so much bigger than me. The only thing I can do is become a better person and a better lover. That's all I can do. That's the only thing I have in my power.
Absolutely. We certainly have to pick our battles. I'm thankful that you chose this battle. I'm thankful for the people who choose the political battle. Just like you, it's pretty tough for me, especially, you know, living in Chicago and the state of Illinois. You're talking about a state that 4 out of the last 6 governors have gone to prison. Like, you know, corruption is business as usual here. And so, yeah, it can be a pretty daunting task and an exhausting task and a discouraging and depressing task to try to change government. But what has to happen is we have to get rid of the status quo. And while I understand why people think that people need a lot of experience to be in politics, and that's why sometimes we have these politicians that have held the same office for 20 and 30 years, even though they haven't been effective. We have to get some new blood, some new thinking, some people who are just as shocked and appalled by this new information as we are, to get some people who will affect change in these areas. And I think when we see these things disincentivize, that you'll see an effect from that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think once it's a money grab. So once it shifts from that, then there won't be any more of this. But it just seems so big. It seems like this guy said, this was implemented in the 70s. We're 50 years in. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, right. I haven't even been here that long. Like,
right. They charge a fee to collect the child support as well. So in addition to them getting a percentage of it, which I didn't know about that, I do know that they charge a fee to collect it. And so, you know, the saga continues as far as the nonsense goes.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking. But again, you know, we're doing what we can, especially offering the things that we offer. I'll go to this last comment here. Tawny says, my therapist knows how to conjure up my emotions and make me cry. Then she'll ask me how I think I can solve the problem. I'm like, isn't that your job? Well,
I think the best counselors and therapists lead you to your own truth. So if you have a therapist, you know, advising you all of the time, that may be something you want to assess. One, because often it won't hold, right? They'll just be doing it because the therapist or the counselor said do it. But if you can lead a person to their own truth, right, after they've heard themselves say some things, they've seen their feelings pour out of themselves, that these may be some clues, right, as to what we might need to stop doing and start doing. That's just my 2 cents on therapy and counseling, that people need to be led to their own truths, because then it resonates and it rings true, and it has the best chance of affecting change.
yeah, you said what I was going to say. Like, I completely get it. And I think this is a great time to introduce, you know, the work that we do. So do you want to tell people how I mean, I know you're not a therapist, but you are a dating and relationship consultant. So I know you function in a similar way. So let people know how they can get connected.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if this is your first time ever watching this, my name is Inyatu Marvel, aka Mr. Hitch himself. If you saw the movie with Will Smith, my friends growing up said he was playing me, and so you can find me on Instagram at Inyatu Marvel is Hitch, no spaces. You can find me on Facebook, my government name, Inyatu Marvel, and my website is thehitchagency.com. And so I am a licensed life coach and relationship coach. I also am not a licensed therapist, but I did go get registered as a couples counselor for premarital and marriage counseling. And so I do have some training. I do have some experience, and I believe in a two-pronged process. Healing first, right? Get yourself in healthy shape mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And then second, we just want to get in alignment with what it is that we really want, right? And so take some healing to identify what we really want and need. And then we have to get lined up with that to make it work. And I think sometimes people think it's something really big that's holding them back from the romantic experience that they desire, when really it's just like a radio station. You just turn one dial off from the radio station and it's static, right? It's not, you don't have to go 100 degrees down on the radio station. You just go one over, 107.5, 107.4, a world of difference. One is live HD and the other is nothing but static. And so your life can be the same way if you aren't aligned with what you want. And thank you so much, Jamie, for inviting me to your platform and doing the work that you do. The conversations are always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for seeing me and for your time. And, you know, just like you, I have my group coaching program. I've started it on the low, and now I got to get used to telling all of you people publicly what's going on. But it's a very similar thing. I came up with something called the SASSY method, and it is about the alignment. You know, the first S is for self-love and mastery. Second is alignment and accountability. Then we have spiritual wellness, supplanted, and your why. And when you use this formula to go through everything, you know, I have the Getting to the Root group coaching, and it's like, where are all these symptoms coming from? Sometimes we just can't see it.
Right.
And although I'm not licensed, I've been through a lot, and I read a lot of books, and the way my brain works and the way I'm able to put things together and see things. I've had a lot of jobs, a lot of experience, a lot of travel in and out of the country, it's a lot. I've interviewed over 1,000 people. Like, there's just something in here from where I'm just able to see and pick and deduce and help and get to the root of the issue. So you don't need to call me no more. And hopefully you don't need, you know, you should just be able to use the formula, get going, and stay in alignment for the blessings that are yours. I don't want to teach anybody how to be me. I don't want to teach anybody how to be anybody else that they say, but to be able to walk your path, your way, so you can see what is available for you, because it's very specific. So yeah, you can find.
I love it. I love that acronym. Very creative, very on point, right? Very applicable. And so, yeah, you nailed it both ways, sassy and the acronyms. I love it.
Thank you so much. I'm having fun with it, which is the main thing for me. Fun is one of my pillars. If I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it.
Right.
So it's been a lot of fun. And I was just feeling like it's time for me to be of service. And I kind of had to get out of the imposter syndrome of like not being certified or don't people know this already? And it's like, no, like you're literally helping people. So just let that be and keep going. So
fantastic.
yeah, that's where I'm at. So if you guys want to know more about that, you can find me on Instagram under my name right here. Link in bio says Get Sassy. Like that's all you gotta do is click there. And that's my little 20-minute free phone call. Let's figure out how we can get to the root of what you got going on. And then Yatu, you
the same. I have a 15-minute free consultation that you can book on the website. HITCH is an acronym to Healing Individuals to Connect Healthily. For so many years in my life, when I was trying to figure out my romantic relationships and dating, healthy wasn't the word that I was using. It's like fun and pretty and all these other words that maybe some of them add up to healthy. But I think when you really bring that word into your vocabulary and into your perspective, it really changes everything, because that's what it needs to be first and foremost, is healthy for you.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And yeah, that's what it needs to be. I would always think that too. I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm pretty, but like, do you know me? Like, are you really going to do this thing? Like, what are we really going to do here? It's like, there's so much more to it. So I'm glad you as a man speaking up. I feel like women were always like, oh, healing spaces and healthy and our eating and our gyms and empowerment girls. And we got all that. But for you to step in and have the marriage counseling and from a man's perspective, speak about healthy relationships. We need it. I love it. And your content is amazing. So
thank you so much.
Thank you, SJ. I had to.
You got to give people their flowers while they can still smell them. Absolutely. Looks like we got another comment.
Yeah, she said SJ said them nails are sassy. I'm like, yeah. I'm usually a sporty nails girl, but I was like, I just want to do everything different. So we're doing this right now.
I am not mad at you. So thank you everybody for watching. I guess we're closing out.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, please like, comment, subscribe, share with someone. We're always having these conversations. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check us both out on Instagram, and we will see you in the next video.
Absolutely. Good night, everyone.
Bye.